again, it's thinking long term. And if you've got that cash on the side, it's a great opportunity. It's shifting that mindset and saying, okay, hey, we don't have a crisis here. I'm planning for the long term. So the opportunity is how do I get involved while the market is low?
Welcome to the Your Life, Your Money podcast with Scott Searens, teaching you how to thrive in life, wealth, and retirement.
Glad to have you on Your Life, Your Money. This podcast is helping you thrive in life, wealth, and retirement. We do so twice a month, and we do so with a number of different financial and retirement topics. And today we're going to focus on, I think a really good one that can be beneficial for a lot of people. It's where crisis and opportunity meet. There's a lot of times in life that you're going to be thrown a curveball, maybe a tough, difficult situation to get through, and you might seem hopeless, or you might be worried about your finances, but there are some opportunities in a lot of these moments, and we want to try to identify those for you today and kind of how you can take advantage of them. We'll do that, as always, with Scott Searens. He is the president and financial advisor at Searens Financial Group. Scott, welcome in. How's it going?
Ben, life is wonderful. Thank you very much. Over the past weeks here, I've gotten to go and visit my parents, which is great. A little can't beat mom's home cooking, right?
True,
and then my father has this just awesome garage. It's totally finished. It's got heater or a furnace. It's got an air conditioner. So I just it's got a drain. I pull my car in there, get to hand wash it. It's perfect. So always enjoy going to visit them.
Where do they live?
Anawan. It's a small town of 900 people. I had 34 kids in my graduating class.
Wow. That's incredible. Is that in, what state is that in?
So it's in Illinois,
okay.
And it would be, let's just say like about 45 minutes north of Peoria, Illinois.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, not a whole lot of people have heard of my hometown, but
now we know somebody from there.
There you go. I love my hometown. Love the rural setting for sure.
Well, speaking of getting out of town, I know a lot of people are traveling now, which is great, right? It's summertime. Things are, different states are opening back up, removing all of the COVID restrictions that were out there, which is awesome. And I'm curious. So, I know you like to travel. You just got back on a trip, but what are a couple of your favorite trips or destinations that you go to or have been to?
Yeah, and as we were speaking a little bit before, I've got some college friends that we've always taken, I'll call it kind of a guy's trip. And this is, unfortunately, it's kind of fallen away as folks have gotten, married and had kids. But we've taken a few trips to Puerto Rico. We took one trip to Jamaica. So
nice.
Both those destinations are fun. Been overseas a few times. I would have to say that Italy and Ireland were a couple of my favorites. Just beautiful, beautiful destinations. And as you had mentioned, I actually just recently got back from a trip to Colorado. I was out there visiting my uncle. Had a great, great time. I just love the views of Colorado, the mountains in the background, the weather that's out there. It's just awesome. And we got out golfing a few times, so had a lot of fun there. But so great times. How about yourself, Ben? Where do you enjoy to go?
Let's see. I guess, here around our country, I do a couple golf trips too. We used to go to Disney every year for a golf trip, which is always a lot of fun. Like you said, things kind of change, life changes. So the golf trips are always a lot of fun. I like going to the Gulf Coast. I grew up in Alabama, so we'd go down there kind of at least once a year, but the beaches are beautiful. Water's clear, blue, green. I think a lot more people have discovered it in the last decade, but it's still, for the most part, kind of a little hidden gem for people that live outside of the Southeast necessarily. But also, I'm with you on Italy. I've been to Italy once and just had a wonderful trip there on the coast. The wine was incredible. The food was delicious. It was one of those when I came back to, I was like, I wonder how much it would cost to buy a home in Italy. And even had a discussion with my wife before we got married. We were really close to getting married in Italy. We went kind of back and forth, and I did all kinds of research, had a place in mind, because we were on the coast where we stayed for a few days, and it was these old towns, right, built up on the mountainside. So just incredibly gorgeous. And I even picked out a place that I really liked, but it came down to how many people can we get over there? Would we rather have a celebration with more friends and family close by, or just go off with a very small group of people to Italy? And we've eventually settled on Nashville, but it was really close. But that's how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, I think what you said there, I think probably a lot of us all come back from different destinations and go,
Yeah.
now I wonder how much it would cost to live there or have a second home
Yep.
there, or how much would it be to Airbnb there or VRBO or any
Hmm.
of those vacation rentals? How much would that be for a month? You have those great destinations, and it makes it a lot of fun. I think times are changing too, right? A lot of folks used to have the second homes, and people still do, but
Hmm.
I was speaking with my uncle, and he's like, I don't know if I want, he's like, I just want to maybe go rent a place for a month in different locations, throughout my retirement. So I think times are changing, and those availabilities, are a lot greater now, which makes it really cool.
Yeah, that I'm exactly that way. As soon as I get back from a trip that I really enjoyed, I start looking at real estate. Not that I can afford it or can buy it, but I'm like, man, what would it cost? I'm always play that game. So you never know. Hey, it's a great way to kind of figure out where you want to be in retirement, maybe, right?
Absolutely.
Well, look, let's talk about crisis and opportunity. We also have a couple questions we're going to get to. I think you'll enjoy some questions that Scott had from client meetings recently that we thought would be great to bring on here and provide those scenarios on the show for you. But let's talk about crisis and opportunity. Let's quote the Chinese word crisis, right? You combine the elements of two different Chinese characters in order to get it. One means danger, the other means opportunity, right? So when you actually translate it to English, it actually means opportunity riding on a dangerous wind. Interesting, right? But that is a exact reason why we pay attention to this topic and really think about what opportunities are out there, because it's so easy to be thrown off by emotion that you don't think clearly in these situations. So we want to kind of bring them to your attention and let you kind of understand the process that you should be thinking about and how an advisor kind of helps you through that. So the
Boy,
first, go ahead.
I really love this topic, Ben. I think the human brain is conditioned to focus on the negative, right?
Yeah.
It's conditioned to focus on the crisis and has a really hard time seeing past that crisis or seeing past that negative. And today is all about how do we take the negative and how do we turn it into a positive. And sometimes when you're in that situation, it's really hard for you to see anything else that's out there. So I really hope our show today helps people see the opportunity that might be beyond a crisis that they're in, or maybe that your friend is in, or a coworker is in, and you can, say, hey, wait a second, think about this in a different way, or lead them to the show and have them listen for themselves, because I just really hope it helps people take what could be a potential negative, but turn it into a positive.
Yeah, that's the goal today. Exactly. So let's start with one that you might not necessarily think of as a crisis, so to speak, when you hear this, but the empty nest, right? For a lot of parents, maybe it's a joyous time, but for most families, it does come with a lot of sadness for mom and dad when their children leave the home for good.
Yeah, there could be a big emotional side to this. I guess everybody's family situation is different. Some people are going, hey, finally some free time, right? Like, let's go. And then for some people, there's some emotional sadness when the children are out of the home and they're now living on their own, and they're no longer utilizing or needing your support anymore. But there's also some potential opportunity here, meaning, okay, may no longer have those college bills to support, or those cell phone bills to support, or the car insurance to support. So I think there's, both a financial side to this as well as just a life side to this. From a financial side, it's a great time to actually reevaluate your financial plan. And as you might not have some of these bills anymore, is there this ability now to put more away towards your retirement, or save up towards that, second home that we were talking about, or, just take more vacations or do whatever you want with those extra funds. But I think it's a great time to reevaluate. First off, are you on track for retirement, or do you need to save a little bit more towards that? If you're on track, great. Maybe you want to retire early. Great. Save some extra money towards that. Or, hey, maybe I want to put it towards that second home, or to those other activities. I think there's a life side to it too. I think I haven't been in those shoes, but I'm guessing that, a lot of people, as their children grow up, a lot of their life starts to revolve around their children. And that's where their time evolves around too. So now you might have some more free time on your hands. And it's a great time to start, understanding which hobbies, or, do you might you like, or which activities like golf or gardening, or what is it that you enjoy and is going to keep you busy? And I think this is a good time to really start getting active in those hobbies and those different activities, as that way you can really find out what you like to do and then what you may want to do during your retirement.
Yeah, a lot of free time and extra money, and it's tough to replace the time with your children, but there is a lot of positives that can come out of it for you and your spouse potentially. So, keep that perspective in mind. Second one on the list, this one is much more of a crisis and one that we all get very emotional about, and that's when the market crashes, right? We watch that; it can be very distressing to see those downturns. We've seen them. We saw one last year with COVID, and we saw it happen quickly, and it affected a lot of people, but this could be an opportunity too as well, right? Especially if you have some cash sitting on the side.
Boy, you are totally correct. If you've got some cash sitting on the side, this can be a great purchase or great buy opportunity for you. You've probably heard that saying, sell high, buy low. Well, anytime that there's a crash or a correction, now past results don't guarantee future results, but the market has shown us through history that there's always been this bounce back or this rebound. Some happen like right away, like you said with COVID. Some take a lot more time. But, if you do have some cash on side, this could be a great opportunity for you to buy while the market is low. Nobody's going to be able to time when the actual bottom is going to hit. But if you're focused on the long term, if you're thinking about investing your money for the long term, getting it on the low or the downward side is putting yourself in a good opportunity to potentially make some money through some great growth in the overall market. But you were correct, right? It's really, I think this is one where it's really tough though, and you've got to be aware of it, but it's really tough to shift that mindset. Because when the crash is happening, it's very emotional to watch your portfolio or to see your balance drop in price, especially if that's like the money that you're saving up for your future. But again, it's thinking long term. And if you've got that cash on the side, it's a great opportunity. It's shifting that mindset and saying, okay, hey, we don't have a crisis here. I'm planning for the long term. So the opportunity is how do I get involved while the market is low? And for those that don't have cash sitting on the side, there's still an opportunity, and the opportunity might be to rebalance your portfolio. So maybe things that have gone up in value, it's a good time to sell those and rebalance into those portions or asset classes of your portfolio that have dropped. So a lot of great opportunities on this one. Again, have to shift ourselves out of that crisis mindset and look to say, where can we potentially put this to our benefit?
Yeah, it's such a difficult time too. I mean, your first inclination is just to get rid of everything you have, right? But that's you don't ever act emotionally, and that's why having an advisor that you can kind of lean on and reach out when the market's bad. Hey, Scott, what's the best option right here? That's where you come in and can kind of really help with this, right?
We had a lot of great conversations with our clients throughout the COVID time period and the COVID crisis, talking about, okay, hey, we've prepared for this, right? We have all of our money sitting in the market. We had some on the safer side, some on the growth side. So we've prepared for this. So let's move forward from the crisis mindset, and now let's start talking about how could you potentially take advantage of this opportunity.
All right, next one, we talk about healthcare and retirement, long-term care. Well, difficult situation for a lot of people is seeing these long-term care insurance policy rates continue to go up, right? These big hikes. So when that happens, Scott, I mean, what is our opportunity here?
Boy, this is a tough one, right? Because it's just like any sort of insurance premium, when you've been paying in for what feels like a lifetime, when the rate goes up, you're like, well, do I really need this? I'll tell you what, my parents started a long-term care policy a while ago, and this was the first year in all of their years that they actually got a rate hike, and it was a pretty decent sized rate hike to their premiums. Not that they did anything wrong, right? Nothing. It wasn't anything that they did, but it was the company adjusting premiums for all of the people that they insure. And so this can really, just kind of put you in that bummer mindset to say, oh man, the premiums have gone up. Do I really need this? But I think makes it a good opportunity to actually review your policy and see if you're overinsured. I find a lot of times folks that have gotten long-term care insurance, some of them are actually surprisingly overinsured, meaning back in the day, they got this really big policy with a lot of inflation. And when you look at the cost of the care that's in their policy, it's more than what care actually costs out in the marketplace right now. So it's a good opportunity now to then just reevaluate your plan. Maybe you can reduce the inflation to lower those premiums. Maybe you can reduce your coverage a little bit to lower those premiums. And the other thing is just now it might open your eyes to go out to the marketplace and say, hey, maybe there are some other options that are available now for long-term care type coverage that weren't available when you purchased your plan, 5, 10, or 15 years ago. So I think there's some great even though, it doesn't seem so, there's some good opportunities to use this to improve your overall situation.
That's good to know. I think that's the spot where most people wouldn't even think about an opportunity, right? They would just think about, how do I pay for this? What do I change about my month to month to cover these hikes? So look, again, there's opportunities in a lot of these spots where you're just not thinking about. And another one, that really feels dire is getting laid off, right? Especially we see this a lot of times with people that are approaching retirement, that maybe they get laid off, or they're just forced into an early retirement altogether, or the company downsized, whatever it is. This comes with a lot of emotional turmoil, but we can turn this around, all right, Scott, and actually find some positives here.
I totally agree with you. Now, this one can emotionally hurt. It's almost like your pride has been punched. And you're correct, Ben. This one can be turned around. Here's a few ways to look at this to see if it's actually a potential opportunity for you. One, maybe your company, when you got laid off, gave you a severance package or an early buyout. And if so, now's a great time then to sit down and relook at your plan and go, okay, here's how much I've saved up over time, plus the company's severance package or buyout. You actually might be in a really good position to just retire early. So I think that's, a great opportunity out of all of this. I've seen throughout COVID where, there were different packages that were offered, and a lot of people were actually recognizing that they have the opportunity to retire early because they're in better shape than they might have thought. Another positive way to look at this, sometimes we just get wrapped up in jobs that aren't necessarily the best fit for us, right? You're driving to work every day going, boy, I wish I wasn't doing this today. So, really take a look back and go, hey, was this the best place for me to work? And if it wasn't, hey, this is a great opportunity to go out and get that job that you've always wanted. Or maybe based on what you've saved up, you can just move into part-time work, right? Find something that you really love to do, and then you've got enough money saved up that you can just enjoy some of your free time as well.
Yeah, there is some opportunity there. You wouldn't think about it, but maybe it does open that door to you looking at maybe retiring early or having more time than you expected, and that could be a good thing for you and your health and your mental health as well. So, again, there's a number of situations here that could feel very difficult to overcome and feel like you have a big burden on your finances, especially, but again, you want to try to reach out and get a second opinion on these things and find a way to turn it around and use it for your benefit. And that's where a financial advisor can really come into play for you. And I encourage you to check out our website here, lifemoneyshow.com. We have a lot of resources. We put our podcasts, there's videos up there and more. So go there to start. You can learn more about this process, but also if you have questions for Scott beyond this, there's contact info there as well that you can reach out and start that process. It's important, Scott. I mean, you're there in the good times and bad, right? That's what the advisor is there for. When everything's going well, it's easy, but even when it's going bad, there are some things that you can really step in and provide a lot of value for people.
I think it's important, as we spoken at the beginning, sometimes we can get so focused on the crisis. It's really good just to talk to somebody else, to talk to them about your situation and have somebody else help you look at the opportunities that you might not necessarily be seeing as you're going through that current situation.
All right, let's talk about a couple scenarios that you recently had in the office. I thought this would be good to bring on the show and kind of talk through them a little bit to kind of let people understand some specific scenarios and how you came to a conclusion with people. So here's a scenario. Age 65, all right, this person's spouse and them plan to move to another state. And the question was, should I take a large withdrawal from my 401k for the down payment? How do you answer that?
Well, the first thing I said is wait, hold on. And the reason for that is because when taking money out of your 401k, that money is going to get taxed at your income tax rate. So I'm not saying that we can't do this, but I just have to say, wait a second, hold on. Let's really think this through first to make sure that this is the best place to go and get the money for that down payment. So some thoughts that we walked through in this type of scenario that a person could walk through is, all right, maybe the first thought is, well, could you instead just sell your home first and then buy the new home, use your equity in your current home as the down payment? So now we're avoiding taking 401k withdrawals at all, because you have to remember, let's just say you needed a down payment of, say, $25,000 or $30,000. Let's just use $30,000. You actually need to take more than $30,000 out of your 401k to be able to make that down payment, because you're going to have to account for taxes and how much you're going to give to the IRS. And everybody's tax rate is going to be different. It's going to be based upon how much income they have coming in. And so that might not necessarily be the best account. So like I said, first is, hey, can you sell your home first, then buy the new home using your current equity as down payment? Maybe you don't have the ability to do that. So the second thing I would say then is, do you have any non-retirement accounts? Checking, savings, CDs, or maybe a brokerage account. But because using that brokerage account, right, we could potentially be looking at more favorable capital gains rates, utilizing the long-term capital gains rate versus normal income tax rates. So that'd be the second area I'd say to look at is, hey, do we have any non-retirement account money that we can go to and use? And then third is, okay, hey, can't sell our house. We don't have any non-retirement money. So our only option then is those 401ks and IRAs. Then you just have to be really aware that this is going to add into your taxable income. And, depending on what your taxable income is and depending on how big of a withdrawal you need to make, it may make more sense. So if okay, hey, next year I'm going to go buy a home. We won't have the ability to save up in a non-retirement account enough. Well, maybe it makes sense to try to keep your tax burden as low as possible on this money to phase those withdrawals over a couple of years. So maybe it makes sense to take some this year and then some out next year, so you phase it over a couple of years. But that's going to be different for everyone. So again, my first thing is wait and really look at your overall picture. You're going to have to coordinate this with your tax picture and your tax person as well as your advisor to understand what's the best methodology for yourself from a tax standpoint. We want to keep more of your hard-earned money with you versus giving it to the IRS.
All right, that's the first scenario. Good one too. I like to hear how that was played out and maybe give some people some things to think about. Here's another scenario that you recently had and a question that came with it. So I need about $5,000 to live each month. My Social Security and my pension total about $5,300 a month, so a little bit of a grace period there. Does this mean I'll be able to leave the entire 401k to my children? Interesting. Is it possible?
Yeah, really interesting question here. And just from a high level, right? So you said we need $5,000 a month to live, and we got $5,300 a month gross income coming in. From a high level, you look at this and go, yeah, shouldn't be an issue, right? However, and we were just talking about taxes, you have to think about taxes. And as the person mentioned, a pension here, I'm most likely, right? Most pensions are going to get taxed at your normal income rate. And then based upon about how much income they have coming in here, I mean, they didn't give us the breakdown between Social Security and pensions, but most likely some of their Social Security is going to get taxed as well. So that $5,300 a month income all of a sudden starts dropping down and could be under $5,000 a month, depending on wherever their income tax rate falls. So they might actually need to go to their 401k to take some withdrawals to manage that $5,000 a month income. The other thing that wasn't listed in here, and we're not really sure if it was included in that $5,000 a month or not, but a lot of times people are just thinking about their overall expenses, right? Hey, normally right now it costs me $5,000 a month to live, but don't forget about you're going to have Medicare premiums, other types of healthcare costs, and just because you need $5,000 a month to live right now, what about inflation and the cost of goods going up? So will you be able to, leave the entire 401k to your children? Maybe, maybe not. Just the high level numbers there. I guess the point we're trying to get across is, hey, don't forget to take into account taxes. Don't forget to take into account healthcare. The other thing is that 401k at some point in your life, right now, the age that they've designated as age 72, that you'll need to start taking required minimum distributions. So whether you like it or not, the government's going to, force you to take money out of your 401k account. Now, if you don't need it, doesn't mean you have to spend it. If this is important for you to give this to your children, you can just take that money, reinvest it into an after-tax brokerage investment account, and get the money growing again. So it is quite possible that you could leave all of this to your children, but just want to kind of walk through some of those scenarios that you might not actually be able to leave that specific 401k to the children, and you might need some more money yourself to live just to keep up with healthcare, inflation, and after you pay off taxes.
Yeah, thanks for taking us through those two scenarios. And Scott, we encourage anybody that has questions, they can send them in to you, right? lifemoneyshow.com. You can contact Scott that way. You can also call him if you prefer to speak directly with him. It's 847-235-6989. But again, if you have questions, send them in to us. We'll try to bring some on the show in future episodes, try to answer them here so everybody can benefit, kind of hear your process, your thought process, and some of the different considerations to have for these specific scenarios. It's always helpful. Financial planning, Scott, is very, there's a lot of nuance across the board, and there's a ton of different scenarios that happen, a lot of things to juggle. So anytime we can kind of go into specific situations, I think it helps.
Great conversation, Ben. Look forward to our next one.
If you haven't subscribed to the show, please make sure you do that. We would greatly appreciate you getting every episode delivered right to you. You don't want to miss a single show. And again, visit lifemoneyshow.com for this episode, videos, and much more content provided by Scott and his team. Scott, take care.
Sierens Financial Group is an independent financial services firm that utilizes a variety of investment and insurance products. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and Sierens Financial Group, Inc. are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Sierens Financial Group, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein, provided by third parties, have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Sierens Financial Group, Inc.